Can I have a show of hands, please, of who here in the audience knew when they were 12th already what they wanted to do after school? Interesting, so not many, but that is expected, isn't it? Why should a child with little to no experience in the real world have a clue what they want to do after school? The simple answer is they shouldn't. Children are not expected to make life-changing decisions at that age already. That is why one's self-discovery is crucial in not just learning about themselves, but also their thoughts, ideas, and opinions. Especially now, when myself and other fellow students are making important decisions about our academic futures, it is imperative to understand the outcomes and consequences of those decisions. Today, I'll be talking about academic self-discovery and how, when you least expect it, life affects you in such a way that completely changes you. That is what happened to me when I was 12 years old. We just moved from Leipzig to Berlin. For me, it was an adventure. A new city, a new house, getting to know new people. It sounds exciting, doesn't it? And it was, until one day while sitting at dinner, I found out something that, in hindsight, I did not truly understand. It turns out a family member was seriously ill, so much so that that was the reason we moved to Berlin in the first place. The year that followed was the worst year of my life. The long evenings spent in the hospitals, the lack of any sort of hobbies, and the constant worries that spread through my family like a plague affected me in such a way I find impossible to explain. I felt empty. There was little to find comfort in. My ignorance as a child is why I never truly understood what was going on at the time. I did not ask questions. For me, it was an adventure, as I said. However, instead of worrying and hating those snow-white, emotionally empty hospital rooms, I found a particular liking in them. Not the rooms themselves per se, but the people around them. The doctors in their benevolent smooth white robes, treating all kinds of sicknesses, are what caught my eye. Who would have thought a 12-year-old would find comfort in doctors with their long needles and complicated equipment? But I did not see them that way. Their hard work, their commitment to their patients, the way their patients were not only patients but actual people, their sympathy and empathy, it inspired me. Slowly but surely, I found a particular liking in their jobs. Since then, I found myself completely consumed by one part of academia, medicine. Medicine went from a simple liking to an interest to a goal to become a doctor, just like the doctors in that hospital. As a child, I already knew that is what I wanted to do whenever I was finished with school. I was certain, and that was my aspiration. But of course, things like this don't just come out of the blue. Something has to happen to evoke that idea, that feeling. In my case, that something was a traumatic and unexpected event that changed me more than I realized at the time, an event that influenced me even when I least expected it. After all, you can't predict a serious illness, the same way you can't predict what happens to you when you leave your house. An elephant might trample you, or a delicate butterfly might land on your nose. We make thousands of decisions a day, decisions that, as a whole, determine our lives like a series of events, all intercalated. The decision to move to Berlin, once we found out the illness, changed my life as it dictated all future events. I had to make new decisions about what friends to make, what hobbies to prioritize over others, and whether to go home or to the hospital in the afternoon. These series of events determined my life, but if one decision would have been different, would that have changed whether I went to the hospital or not in the afternoons? Perhaps on a smaller scale, yes, but on a larger scale, those decisions would have not had a large influence on my future. I made so many decisions after that, which meant that one decision was insignificant. Numerous studies have even shown that the average person makes an estimated 35,000 decisions per day. Decisions on a smaller scale may seem consequential, but considering we make so many decisions, a single decision will be deemed as purely a first step into one's self-discovery. The decisions that I just mentioned were sometimes made subconsciously, like whether or not I should go to the hospital in the afternoons. However, more importantly, some decisions are made when you least expect them, whether voluntarily or not. I did not necessarily want to go to the hospital and was swarmed with homework, but involuntarily I knew that, when observing the bigger picture, it was more important for myself and for my family than doing my homework. Does that mean that one decision to do my homework and to not do my homework and go to the hospital instead set me up to fail academically? No, it didn't. It simply meant I chose one thing over the other because in that moment in time, it was more important to me. For example, say you decide to attend a university fair just because your friends did, or you did a work experience in your local supermarket because you wanted something close to home. While you might not have actively wanted to make that decision, you did. And based on the outcomes of that decision, your beliefs and values might influence you. And after attending university fair, you might decide, this is too overwhelming, I want a gap year. Or after doing the work experience, you find yourself intrigued by the working world and realize that future education just isn't for you. The same goes with deciding about future academic studies. Discovering yourselves academically is a journey. You jump from lane to lane, not knowing whether it is the right step for you. If it turns out a decision was wrong, instead of seeing it as a step backwards, learn from it, embrace it, and go forwards from there. Make new decisions based on previous ones, and always remember that you're the driver sitting behind the wheel. Only you decide which way to steer your life and truly discover yourself. No matter what you choose, whether to pursue future academic studies or not, the journey to one's self-discovery is individual and unique to themselves. Not everyone discovered themselves as early as I did. Some people do not even discover themselves at all. Is one decision right while the other is wrong? We make so many decisions on a daily basis that if one is wrong, is our entire future dependent on that mistake? For me, the answer is no. You might decide to go to university, but then after a year realize you don't like it anymore. Drop out, go into the business world, and form your own business. Who knows? At the end of the day, no matter what you choose, your individual decisions don't dictate the rest of your life. If one decision is wrong, the thousands that come afterwards will cancel it out to the point you don't even realize the original decision was the wrong one. My personal love for medicine will be hard to break, but does that mean I made the right decision? Philip Larkin's 1973 poem, The Old Fools, ends with the line, "Well, we shall find out." It perfectly summarizes his views about the journey of life. Only time will tell whether the decision was the right one, or whether one's academic self-discovery was achieved. So if there's one thing to take away from today, it is this. Even the worst of moments, like the serious illness of a family member, can give you valuable insights about yourself. Things will always turn out for the better, and if not, then at least we can learn from things, whether good or bad. Every plan A, no matter how good, needs a plan B. No plan is perfect, no decision is ideal. You might choose one path, and then something unexpected happens, just like it did to me, which might inspire, influence, and change your future decisions. That doesn't mean your decisions were wrong. Pursue what you love, have faith in your decisions, even if they're blurry at first, and you'll be awarded for it. Thank you.